Hi everybody. Okay, here is my peeps family tree. Okay, I guess let's get started. So of course, here's me, it's Shelby. And these are my parents. So this is my father, Peter, and my mother, Colleen. So we'll start with my dad. I guess I don't want to, this could take forever if I go into all the little details of everybody. So just, I guess we'll give the quick overview. So he was born in 1964. He's 53. He's from Zephyr Hills, Florida, and Florida is where I'm from also, where I grew up. And he was born in Florida, but he did spend shortly after Florida, he moved to Germany for the first 2 years of his life, and he did speak German, although now he can't speak German anymore. And his father is German, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. He completed his high school diploma, but never went to college or received any higher education, and he works for Publix. And this is his dad, Horst Kuhlman, and his mother, Barbara Adams. I'll talk about her first, I guess, because I didn't get, as you can see, a lot of information about her family. So she's from Florida also. She's from Zephyr Hills, Florida, where my father was born. She was a housewife, and that's kind of all I really know about her. And then these are her parents, Audrey and William. So this is my great grandmother, Audrey, and she's actually still alive. She's 93. She's amazing. And then my great grandfather, he was alive until I was about 12. He passed away. So I did know both of my great grandparents, which was pretty neat. And then here on my dad's side, so this is where my dad has his German heritage. So my grandfather was born and raised in Germany. He didn't move, well, he came to the States in 1955. He was, I believe, 19 years old, and he came to New Hampshire on a student visa. And he spent 1 year in New Hampshire, and then he went to Florida for the next year, and that's where he met my grandmother. And he actually moved back to Germany after that 1 year, and then immigrated to the United States 2 years later in 1958, and then married my grandmother in 1960. Of course, he could speak German. He can still speak German. This is the town that he was born in. He says it much better in his German accent, but it's very close to Munich, which is a pretty big city in Germany, if you're familiar with that. And then these were his parents, Margareta and Helmut. His grandfather, or his father, my dad's grandfather, he was a career officer in the German army. He fought in World War One and Two. My grandfather, which I call him Opa, Opa is grandfather in German. Just some little knowledge there. And so, anyway, my Opa was telling me that he went to college, but he wasn't really sure where he went to college. But of course, he spoke German, but also in college, he learned Latin, so he could speak German and Latin. And then his wife, she was a housewife, and she moved, or they met in Bochum, Germany. I'm not really sure where that is. And then my grandfather is not really sure about his dad's parents because they passed away when he was very young, but he did give me some information about his mom's parents, which is Friedrich, which is actually my father's middle name, Friedrich, and then Margareta, also, which is his grandmother that his mom was named after, if that wasn't confusing. Something that I thought was interesting was actually that his grandfather was a chemical engineer. So that was kind of interesting. So he must have had some sort of higher education, but my grandfather wasn't really sure about where that came from. So I think that'd be interesting to maybe dig deeper in one day. I'm running out of time, so let me move down quick to my mom. So my mom was born in 1967. She has her master's in English and she is a teacher. Um, and her parents are Alan Bailey and Laura Louise Yates. My grandfather, Alan, is still alive. My grandmother, Louise, passed away in 2015 from Alzheimer's disease. And then their parents, that my mom knew both of them. They were alive for most of her life. Mary Mahaffey and Sydney Trist Bailey are my grandfather's parents, and they are from New York, New York, and that was where, or my grandfather grew up in Brooklyn, New York, where he went to a military boarding school, and then he joined the Air Force, and he was a statistician in the Air Force, and then after that he worked for General Motors for the rest of his life. And then his parents, of course, they were born and raised in New York. His dad was a stockbroker on Wall Street, which I think is fairly interesting. And then also his dad's parents were born and raised in New York, so a lot of New Yorkers there. And then his mom's parents actually immigrated from Ireland, although I don't know much more about their lives except that they immigrated in when they were children and then met here in the States. And then for my grandmother, she actually had some college. She was a secretary, so she just went to like um, college for a year and learned how to type and kind of those types of things. And her parents, Levi Preston Yates and Marjorie Wilcox, her dad was a farmer. She was born and raised in Billings, Montana, and they had land out there, and that's what her father farmed. And then her mom, Marjorie, was actually a nurse, and she was born in Illinois. And then my grandmother's grandparents were John Henry Wilcox and Hattie Jacques, and they were both from Illinois. And then, oh, and I think this is kind of interesting. So, this is my grandmother's father. His mom had 11 children, so that's kind of crazy. That's a lot of kids. And so that was Laura Wilma Metcalf, and then her husband was Levi Preston Yates, and they are from Missouri, and that is where they met, and then moved to Montana, where they had my grandmother and the rest of her siblings. So I think my time is up, but yeah, thanks for listening. Sorry to go through it so quick. I have a big family history tree, and my family's actually very interested in genealogy and stuff, so I feel like I could talk about it for a while. But anyway, thanks for listening to a brief rundown.